Hello and welcome to the channel Christ of England. Today's video I want to give a message to Paul Thorpe and to his crew on how we can help to restore England. Okay, so I saw Paul Thorpe's recent video he released talking about how he is thinking of taking a step back from doing the work that he's doing because he's being persecuted by the police, border patrol, he's having his bank account messed with, his family are being messed with, and I completely understand why he wants to take a step back. And I agree that he should take a small period of time just to step back and reflect on where the movement and how we can make our country better. And it's something I've been saying for a long time in terms of most recent memory, is that we're not going to be able to defeat the system within the system by infiltrating the system, by getting a political movement. And he even said in the video, look, there's only so much we can do protesting, you've got to go out and vote. But at the moment, there's no solution. Reform are not the solution under Nigel Farage. And regardless of politics, I think we need to have something completely out of the system to fight back against the current system. And one of the great spiritual mentors I had, Roy Masters, said that if you were going to fight a crocodile, you wouldn't go into the water to fight the crocodile because you're going to get done in. What you do is you'd lure the crocodile onto land, which is your territory, and then you'd have some weapons and you'd be able to defeat the crocodile. And by using politics and protests and all that stuff, we're going into their territory. What we need to do is bring them into our territory where we can win, which is in the spirit. And this is something that Yuri Bezmenov touched on and that I learned from Yuri Bezmenov, is that we are under ideological subversion and we're demoralized, and the powers that be are trying to implement communism. That's why we're not getting free speech, and they're locking up even members of the Marines for doing DEI or complaining that DEI is messing up the army and all that stuff. So what we need to do is fight on our terms, which is in the spirit. That's what Yuri Bezmenov said. He said, if you try to defeat ideological subversion with the power of the fist, then you're not going to do it. You need to use the power of the spirit. And I'll put a clip in here of Yuri Bezmenov saying that.
Something which is not material moves society and helps it to survive. And the other way around, the moment we turn into 2 by 2 is 4 and make it a guiding principle of our life, our existence, we die. Even though this is true, and this we cannot prove, we only can feel and have faith in it. So the answer to ideological subversion, strangely enough, is very simple. You simply have to have faith and prevent subversion. In other words, not to be a victim of subversion. Don't try to be a person who in judo is trying to smash your enemy and being caught by your hand. Don't strike like that. Strike with the power of your spirit and moral superiority. If you don't have that power, it's high time to develop it. And that's the only answer.
Okay, so we need to use the power of the spirit. Now, the important thing is it needs to be the right spirit, and that is the spirit of Christ, not Christianity. Because people thinking we need a Christian revival, but Christianity, you're just basically, it's the blind leading the blind, and they represent the religious people at the time and the Pharisees. Whereas what I'm trying to represent at the Christ of England is Christ, and that's spirit, and the Father. So the Father and Christ are up here. Religion is over here. They're in battle with Christ. And that's why nobody cares about religion, and the religious leaders just look like blind fools. Like, are you really going to follow the Archbishop of Canterbury? Are you really going to follow the previous Pope, God rest his soul? Are you going to follow those men? Because they're soulless. They're blind fools. What we need is a movement led by real men of Christ who actually are born again of the Spirit, connected to the Father, and then we can make the change. And it brings me on to my next point, is that I follow a YouTuber called Vindicator Strikes Back, and he was discussing Paul Thorpe and how he's taken a step back, and he doesn't blame him. And he's saying that the people who are going to be the ones to step up for the next movement are basically going to be the ones who have nothing to lose. Because he's saying Paul Thorpe, you know, he's got a few businesses, he's got bank accounts and his family. He's got a lot to lose. And in fairness, I completely understand it. But the next people coming up are young people who've got nothing to lose. They don't have family. They're fed up with society. They've got nothing to live for. So they're going to have nothing to lose. And then are going to be bullied and intimidated by the establishment. And that, I believe, is true. But also, the leaders, the best leaders to step forward are the ones who are born again of Christ. because we're not going to back down to any bullies and intimidation, just like Jesus did. He was the ultimate man of Christ, and he died willing to stand for the truth because he knew the Father, and he knew that the Spirit and righteousness, nothing was going to bully or intimidate him. And that's what myself, born again in Christ, I just no backing down, because we have the Spirit and the Father with us. You know, like these powers that be like to think that they can bully and they're in control, but no, God, my Father, is in control. And we're not going to back down to a bunch of commie, useless, stupid, evil people who are doing all sorts of corruption. And we're the ones who are in control and who should be in control, not them. And that's why I am saying, forget about politics, forget about even Ben Habib. Ben Habib would be a brilliant prime minister if he was leader of reform. The problem is, with him starting a new party, I'm a solutions-orientated person. And I'm looking at it, while it's good, and yeah, I'd vote for Ben Habib and his new party if he got ripped low, but they're not going to go anywhere. Because Reform have already got a load of it. The Tories have got a load of votes. So they're not going to go anywhere. As much as I like them and I prefer them, it's not a solution. What I'd suggest is let's take all that money, all that time, effort and money, the millions and millions that are going to be put into Ben Habib's party, let's put it into a spiritual movement such as the Christ of England. I'll work for free or minimum wage. So it's not about money or ego like Nigel Farage. See, people still want to vote for Nigel Farage, but it's only about Nigel Farage. It's not about doing what's right. Ben Habib is about what's doing right, but he's not going to be able to win. What we need to do is have a spiritual movement, put all our time, money and effort into that. So let's just build a private police force. Let's build a Christ of England instead of a Church of England. So it's spirituality I'm talking about. Let's build a lawyers division where we have the top lawyers like that black belt barrister who can help us out legally so that they can't just bully and intimidate us using the law. We can build our own military, ex-vets, or our own mini army. You can be guaranteed thousands of young men will be willing to sign up for the Christ army. So if anything kicks off, we've got our men in place. They can send their fat female disabled lesbians, but we're going to have real powerful men as our police force. Who do you think's going to win? So I'm just trying to give ideas, and we have to start somewhere and stop trying to change the system within the system. Let's change the system by ignoring it, forgetting about it, and building for the Spirit. If you owe tax money, donate it to the Christ of England instead of paying it to the government. And have general strike. Stop paying money to the BBC, pay it to the Christ of England or a similar spiritual movement. That's how we can make change. And that's why, for now, this is just getting started. I want you, if you like what I'm talking about, subscribe to the channel and share it with as many people who are fed up as possible. And let's get spiritual movement going. Paul Thorpe, if you see this, God bless you. You've done a brilliant job. I'd advise you to step back for now. Share this video with your followers so they can come and join a spiritual movement. And then you can also come and join us. Even Richard Inman's been touching on this. He's been saying, well, I'm stepping back from politics. I'm focusing on Christ and religion. But what I want you to focus on is not religion, but on the Spirit of Christ, the truth of Christ. And once it's awakened within you, we can go out and fight them with the power of the Spirit. You can't do it with the power of religion. Religion is material. It's of this world. The Spirit of Christ is beyond this world. And that is the force that is in Star Wars. With the force, with the Christ, but it has to be realised within us, they ain't going to know what to do. They're going to stand no chance, these evil, corrupt establishment people. They don't care about all the protests about Tommy Robertson. He is a hero, but they don't care about all the stuff he's doing because they can easily beat you that way. If they see a spiritual movement, they're not going to know how to control it when we win hearts and souls of the people, and the people see the light in us. Okay, so that's all I have to say for now. I hope everybody is well. As I said, subscribe, like, share, and let's get this going. God bless everybody. Goodbye.